Hey, before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Hey Transformers fans, welcome to another episode of Transformers Time Warp. I'm Mike, fellow geek gals and geek guys. I want to thank you. I feel very pumped about the channel. It's been about a year now. We've reached 10,000 views. We went above 100 subscribers, and that is because of friends and family who have been a part of my channel since the beginning, and because viewers like you have kept viewing and subscribing. So thank you very much for being a part of my Transformers collection experience and making the channel something worthwhile doing. So thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank you for the awesome response there was to the Omega Supreme video. The response was probably the most awesome response I've had to a video yet. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you guys found value in it too. It was an awesome figure to review. I'm happy to have it as part of my collection. I hope I continue to give you guys good information and little tidbits here and there that I can about things that I've learned along my collection path. And I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'm hoping that I continue to put out content that you want to watch about figures that you want to learn more about. Today we've got something that I find interesting because when I first got into masterpiece collecting of Transformers, my mind was just blown that there was so many toys out there on the market and that they weren't all official Transformers toys from Takara Tomy or Hasbro. In addition to the third-party toys, you also had these knockoff toys, which were 100% counterfeits of the real thing from Takara Tomy and Hasbro. So, different company just stealing the whole toy basically and reselling it. Today, we've got something that I think is kind of interesting because it's a knockoff of a third-party toy, which is, you know, not an official version of one of the G1 characters anyway. So, we've got the official character, Hook, from the G1 Constructicons, which they don't have a masterpiece of. Then they've got the third-party version of it from Generation Toy, and then you've got a knockoff of it from Daban Model. So we'll do a little side-by-side comparison to check them both out. I went ahead and bought this because I was trying to replace a part on my Generation Toy version, the shoulder, which snapped on the first transformation. I found this at tfdirect.com. The cost was about 40 bucks versus GT01F, which was last sold on tfsource.com for about $100. So if you can find this, as long as the quality stands the test, Daban would be a much more budget-friendly option to go with. All right. It's looking good right out of the bag. Let's check out the box. On the top, Daban Model. Yeah. There we go. Front, side, back. And as you can see, they do sell all of the characters to make Devastator. Other side. And bottom. Just a bunch of warnings and other cautions and stuff. All right, so there you got it. It's looking good. I'm not seeing a lack of quality here on the box, at least so far. Right off the bat, it's got a little baggie with a part in it, screw and some kind of screw port, I guess. Okay, maybe we'll need that. Right off the bat, it's looking really good. When I got my Generation Toy version of this, I got it as part of the combiner set. So I wasn't expecting to see some combiner parts in this kit, but that makes sense, right? So aside from that, it's looking good in package. It's got two heads. which the Generation Toy did not come with. So it'll be interesting to see what that's all about. And I think I know what this is for. The crane is not on his back yet, so he needs an attachment. So I think that's probably what this screw and little donut is for. All right, let's have a look at the instructions. All right, it's definitely not as fancy as the booklets that come with the Generation Toy gift set, but you've got a nice color photo here, and it looks like you've got the purple highlights for what's important in the transformation steps, and this just folds out, just a big old pamphlet. And then the Devastator reveal. So, oh, and they've got another mode he can do with the gun. Oh, that's right. Devastator's gun could be like a little cannon. I think the Generation Toy one does that too. All right, let's have a look at this guy. All right, so we've got his crane, and right off the bat, let's see, I've got my Daban drill version right here, and as you can see, it's got all these nice, very precisely done paint accents, and it's just really well sculpted. It's really fun detail on this thing, right? I don't have the platform with the cab on it, but let's take a look comparison-wise. And they're looking pretty good comparatively. It looks like yeah, just a straight knockoff. Now, of course, this Daban Model 1 is the traditional Generation 1 green, and Daban Drill is the Generation 2 yellow, so that's the major difference there. But if I didn't know better, I'd think that this was Generation Toy as well. But you do see right out of the package there's some scuffing on the paint here, unfortunately. But look at this detail in here. Got some good paint app there. Just, you know, they kept the details going. Looking at the ratchets here, same. This looks like maybe it's looser, the Daban Model 1. See if that causes any trouble. But otherwise, it's looking really nice. The cab's not quite sitting flush to the platform, but we'll see if that's just a matter of moving things around later. All right, we've got Devastator's gun, looking very good. I don't really see anything wrong with it. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Hook himself. Okay, right out of the package, he's looking good. You got one of his arms flipped around backwards, but that's okay, we can fix that up. Apparently, this head he's got is not the G1 head. I guess this is the toy head that the Generation Toy gift set does not come with. So let's take a look at them side by side real quick. Let me just fix this guy up. So one thing right out of the package is I like the fact that they have these shoulder fills already in place. They're not back here, back of the arm or anything. The Generation Toy one, I was looking at MGo's video, so check that out if you need help in transformation. But the instructions actually say for you to unfold this piece and to cover up the shoulder gap like that. I prefer, there's a problem with that I find, because if you do this and then you move the arm up, it pops the shoulder fill out. So the bicep moves the shoulder fill. But if you use this additional hinge here and just fold it in and then collapse it, then you get a decent shoulder fill, at least the top fill. And then when you raise the bicep, it doesn't pop anything up. So I prefer to do that. All right, let's do a little side-by-side comparison. Everything looks pretty good. To the eye, I can see maybe that the plastic in the purple area here at the chest looks like it's showing some wear, some scuffing that's not visible here or as visible. So maybe the quality of the plastic is a little different, but pound for pound, they're looking awesome. And in hand, the Daban model doesn't feel like too much different than the Generation Toy version. Generation Toy feels a little heavier. Part of it's gonna be the backpack that he's got on that he does not. But I don't think that's really that much weight. So maybe there is more die cast in the Generation Toy version than in the Daban model, which would make sense for the price point. Another interesting thing I was just noticing was here we've got this engine compartment and railing up toward his knee, but over here it's down. Let me see if that swivels. So yes, this does swivel, so just swivel that around. And now you've got twins. So some of the cool features of Generation Toy I found were this smoked glass compartment covers like an engine that's painted silver, which is nice. It's got a nice rubber railing here, so you don't have to worry about breaking something super thin in plastic. And then the Daban model also has a smoked plastic, but it's more like a blue smoked plastic, it looks like. And yeah, it also has that nice metallic paint job inside, so very cool. Its rubber railing here is a little shinier, so maybe a different type of rubber, but not a big difference in my book. Some QC notes. This shoulder cannon has a nice stiff movement to it, so you can position it out. This one, you can also position out, but it is looser. So I don't know if that's a screw issue that I can fix on the back of the arm here, but I guess that'll remain to be seen. Other QC issues I found. Not super important, but the heel spurs, this one is nice and tight. This one is very loose. So there is a small screw here, so hopefully this can be tightened as well. But yeah, there you go. Out of the box, you might need to tighten some things up. See if you can tighten them up. Other than that, looks really good. One other QC note, when I was fixing this hip panel here, I was having a hard time because this was colliding with the calf because of this tab here. And actually, if we compare this tab to Generation Toys is a lot smaller. So I don't know if Daban thought that was an improvement, but it definitely allows for more of a snap fit in vehicle mode. But it also collides much more than the Generation Toy one collides here. Just give them a little side view now. All right. Back view. And of course, Generation Toys has the backpack on, and Daban Models doesn't have that put on yet. Let's take a look at this guy. So as you can see, he poses really well. Overall, I can't say much bad about this. There are some things that I'll mention that may be compatibility issues if you're mixing this with Generation Toy, and just quality issues that you might want to be aware of in general, because I can't speak for the rest of the Daban Model Constructicons. But Crane here is great looking. The overall quality is really high, and if you had to pick it out of a lineup and say that that's the Daban Model versus a Generation Toy, unless you knew what you were looking for, I don't think you could. So I can definitely recommend this. But before you take that to the bank, let's go ahead and get him into a pose and check him out lit up in that pose. All right, as you can see, he's very poseable, And the paint accents are beautiful. It's not messy at all. It's well sculpted, or at least well molded. And overall, they just really seem to have taken some pride in making this KO of a third-party toy. The light piping could be a little bit more translucent, but so could the Generation Toy version. If you keep watching it as we go through, you'll see that glimmer in the visor, and that is some reflection, but a lot of it's light piping. So it does work. I don't really know what else to say about this because it is so good of a product, despite the fact that it's a KO. So again, for $60 less than the actual Generation Toy version, you are getting a pretty darn good deal. Okay, now vehicle mode. All right. While I was transforming this guy, I came across something interesting. This shoulder ratchet here, the left one, has a nice ratchet sound, okay? Now, the one on the right sounds like it's a lot softer and feels like it's a lot softer, if not worn down. Coincidentally, that is the shoulder that broke on my Generation Toy version the first time I transformed it. So, no breakages here, but interesting that the same side shoulder has some kind of issue. So, maybe this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. The extra thick tab that they created here in the front grille area has proven to be very difficult to put together and not to put together, but to bring up over the lip for both halves. It's been a struggle. So I'm thinking that number one, you need to make sure that these little bones here, these struts, are 90 degrees to the legs first off, and then maybe try to put the panel together first. So fit that together, something like that, and then bring these up over the end to finish up the grill. Means I also have to put the feet back in under and tab those together. So let me work on that and see if I can't get that done. Okay, so I got the grill on finally. It's very tightly toleranced, and what I had to do is actually something that I don't think the directions probably call for, but I had to leave the feet out until last so that I had access to the little swivel hinge inside. So just be aware that this actually seems, and maybe it's because it's the first time I've transformed it, but this actually seems tougher than the Generation Toy version. So word to the wise. All right, a couple of QC notes here on the backpack that holds the crane and the cab. Let me shine some light in here, and if you can see in there, the screw holes on the top of the cab are actually corroded already. So they actually are kind of rusty, and that's definitely not what it looks like on the Generation Toy version. The Generation Toy version has nicely blacked out screws there in the top. So there you go, a little bit of quality difference there. And as I worked on the cab here, I was saying earlier that the cab didn't seem to be sitting flush. So I pulled it apart and then put it back together, and noticed that this panel here, because this is also Devastator's head, has two fly-out panels, and this becomes the back of Devastator's head. Well, when I put this cab back together and I was fitting the side panels, this side panel fit okay, and then this side panel I noticed didn't really tab in, where there's a tiny hole here, that little black square right there, and that's supposed to be for the tab. So on this side, if I don't tear the whole thing apart. Let's see, can you see that? Let me get you some light. So there's that little tab hole. You can see through to the background there. That's supposed to be for the tab here on the top of this flip lid. So that tab's in there nicely on this side. But on the other side, the tab happens to be at the bottom of the door. Long story short, they misassembled this and they gave me 2 of these left panels. And it happens to fit and hinge perfectly on this side. It's just that it does not tab into place. So a little bit of a QC issue there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to tell. So, QC issue, but not much of an issue. Okay, now vehicle mode. We've got Generation Toy, and we've got Daban Model. And they're looking really good. I mean, if I were asked which one was which, I would be hard pressed to tell you, except for the fact that I know what Generation Toy was like right out of the box. Really, this is an amazing value so far on Daban's part. Out of the box, Generation Toys was missing a screw here in the crane part, so the top part looks like it splits apart a little bit. I just need to get a replacement screw, but there you go, that was a QC issue for that. The tolerances on this crane might be a little stiffer than this one right out of the box, although this one has been messed with more, so it just might be that it's broken in some more. There are some articulation points here. Go ahead and take this off. And this is for, later transformation, but you can articulate in 2 points to create almost 90-degree bends at both spots. And we can also do that with Daban models. So there you go, comparable. Now, one thing about seating the crane on the crane's pad, see it's got a little bit of a notch there at the back side of the hole. So I thought this was sliding in and snapping into place, but it turns out it doesn't seem to be snapping into place as much as I thought. So when you swivel the crane's pad does not stay directly in 90-degree relationship to the crane. So not a big deal, it still ratchets around. It's just that it's not a very solid positioning. So if I take this off now, you can see that the pad actually is not straight anymore. It's at a slight angle. So the positioning of that platform isn't perfect. And that's fine because the positioning on this one is not perfect either. As a matter of fact, there it is at an angle right now, and it doesn't even like to move as much as the Generation Toys one does. I put this in here. Wow. I don't even think there's a ratchet. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's not even ratcheting here. It just swivels. So, put that guy back on there. See, it doesn't really snap into position, and it does just rotate, and it doesn't ratchet. But you know what, now that I've loosened it up a little bit, it's actually behaving better than the Generation Toy version. But there is no ratchet. So that one is definitely ratcheted. But all things considered so far, I can't say that the Daban model version is a bad buy. Now we'll do the roll test. Generation Toy. So you can see it rolls fairly well, but it doesn't roll all the wheels all the time in the exact same speed. And Daban Model. And as you can see, those back wheels, if I press down, it'll make contact, but you're just kind of letting it ride on its own weight. You know, this wheel's not spinning much. This wheel skips a little. So, but all in all, really not bad. All right, just for the fun of it, Jinbao is another company that makes knockoff products, most notably oversized knockoff products from what I understand. And Generation Toys version of Devastator is no exception. So this is the knockoff gun from our Daban model, and I haven't done a full comparison with the official from Generation Toy, but same size, right? So let's do a little experiment with the Jinbao version. If you can see, it is noticeably larger. I can't wait to see the actual size of Devastator when I do the review of Jinbao's oversized version of Generation Toy's Devastator. Here is the Generation Toy, one of the forearms, and here is the Jinbao. And if you put them fingertip to fingertip, you can see that, yeah, Jinbao's is a little bit larger. And perhaps this is the best comparison of all. Here's the Generation Toy chest plate, and then here is the Jinbao chest plate. Now, it looks smaller at the moment, right? But what happens when we put them together? Even wing to wing, how about that? There you go. Now, isn't that a pretty stark difference there? That's just a little preview of a review to come. So if you're excited for that, let me know in the comments below. If you think oversized characters are just stupid, let me know in the comments below too. I mean, that's a valid opinion. I'm excited to see how it all stacks up. All right, we've seen the bot modes and the alt modes for these. So how about the combiner modes? All right, here we've got it. And I think it's looking awesome. There is a problem with that flap, however. And so this side of the head does not tab in. So be aware, that can happen, and your Devastator head might not look exactly right. So another thing that I was looking at was, I was trying to see if I could actually pry the faceplate off, but I'm not sure it actually comes off. All right, correction. You can take the faceplate off. So my Generation Toy gift set did not come with two faceplates. Actually, I have to check the box again. Maybe I missed it. But this is the calm face. The face that came on the Generation Toy version is the yelling face. So now I do have the options as long as this actually fits there. And let's find out if it does. So I want it to work, but I guess the holes are not spaced exactly the same distance apart on both masks. So I can't get it to fit on the Generation Toy version of the character. So word to the wise, if you're looking for a part spot, the Daban model may not have all the pieces that you need. Another thing that was challenging here was, and it's a good thing, you know, I guess, but the ratchets for the combine mode are really, really stiff. I mean, maybe even stiffer than the Generation Toy version. So what I ended up doing, and maybe this will get looser as time goes on, but yeah, you can see it's really, really tough. Oh, yeah. Okay. So first off, I pried it open with a 3mm jeweler's screwdriver, flathead, and I just inserted here into that, into where the hole is, and started to just try to pry it open. You know, be careful not to, you know, kill yourself doing this. And then it was very stiff trying to move it out any further. So I found, this wouldn't fit, but I found that the 2mm jeweler's screwdriver, it fits perfectly in here. So then I just used it as leverage. Bend those all the way out. There you go. Then you can just tuck everything away. And it's ready for combine mode. All right, for a comparison here, you know, actually the metal paint on this guy's mask right here, I like better than the metal paint on the Generation Toys mask. It's just a little bit more, I don't know, alloy looking. It's got a little bit more of a cool metal sheen to it. Well, the ultimate test is putting the Daban model in place of the Generation Toy and seeing it in Devastator mode. Here's Generation Toys Devastator in yellow, their G2 version of Devastator, GT6 Duron drill. And as you can see, it's got a lot of detail, really cool paint apps. And as we get toward the top here, as we saw in the comparison of Daban Model's hook versus Generation Toys hook, the quality is there, the molding is nice, the sculpting is great. It's looking great, does the part, fits right in, everything clicks on. You know, obviously it's not the correct color for this set, but it hooks right in. So the caveats aside of it having a bad panel for the head and not fitting precisely into the shoulder ratchets, doesn't affect it actually standing in place in this Generation Toy set. So, on to some of the not so good things. So something that occurred when I was putting him into the combiner mode, one of these, just came off when I was putting on the chest plate, because as strange as it is, and I don't know if this is like some kind of an agreement between Generation Toy and Daban, but like we saw with the face mask, there sometimes are just parts that don't fit exactly like the original. And the chest plate is one of those things. So you can make it work, but I definitely, thankfully that was loose actually, because it tilted a little bit in place and it would fit into one of the notches in the back of the chest plate. All right, on this guy we also had a loose heel spur. I forget which one it was, but I did tighten it up. It just didn't tighten quite as much as I thought it would. So this might be the one. It still feels a little bit smooth, a little too loose, but it did tighten up some. So just be careful, there is the screw there. I don't know what quality screw it is. I didn't strip the head, thankfully, but yeah, just be careful. The thigh guards here, because of this huge peg that they actually augmented from the Generation Toy version, and the fact that I think Generation Toy, well, I know Generation Toy has this same basic problem here. The thigh guard just is too large for some posing positions. So you might have to turn it sideways like that. So there is some collision in posing, but you can get it to pose in some, in a cool position. I imagine you can get quite a number of cool poses. So here we go, that first thing that I was talking about, this comes off. So I guess a little spot of glue would do it some good, but then you might not be able to get the Generation Toy chest plate on here very easily, because these two holes here don't line up very well. Or was I trying to put it in the wrong set of holes? Oh, wait a minute. Haha. Okay, forget what I said about the chest plate. Oh my gosh, I was trying to put it in the top two holes, and yeah, his chest plate's supposed to go higher. So there you go. That's fine, not a problem. Oh yeah, except that it did just take that part off with it. So, to the ratchets here. These ratchets are so strong out of the box that I actually nicked my thumb. Got a little bleeder there from messing with one of them today. So, word to the wise, be careful, and you might want to use a little tool like this 2mm straight slot jeweler's screwdriver, which has an end that surprisingly is just the right width to get in there. A little slop, but pretty close. And there you go, look at that. Tools make life easier, don't they? So there's that. That's a good deal. Now, on the subject of these ratchets, the thing that you might want to be aware of if you're going to mix sets with Daban and Generation Toy is that the peg doesn't seem to slide in all the way. So it sits there, and but it doesn't quite sit inside the ratchet like you might think it would. So it's still usable, definitely usable, but it's just not sitting in there completely. Just FYI. So, and I didn't try to put it in there. Excuse me one second. Oh. So that arm was actually a little bit difficult to get out of the ratchet. So it does fit snugly in there. So that's not a problem, combining that with your Generation Toy arms, if you need to. So we've got the issue with the head flaps here. This one is the correct part, and the right one is not. The right one has that tab at the bottom, as opposed to the tab at the top on this side, and it's supposed to tab into that hole there. So it doesn't, because there is no hole for the tab on the bottom. So I wanted to see if this was compatible with Generation Toys head parts, and so let's check that out. And it just snaps right on. And perfect. All right, so if you have this guy, is the Daban model, and you have the original, you can swap parts. Hopefully, if you buy this guy, it'll come with both head flaps. So that's really the negatives of this guy. And otherwise, I think it's a good buy. I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be at using this guy as a shoulder part for my Generation Toy version, mostly because the Generation Toy version I had a very hard time trying to take screws out of it. But yeah, I give Daban Model 2 thumbs up with some caveats. I hope you've enjoyed this review of Daban Model's 9903 crane. I hope the comparison was useful. I think that Daban put out an amazing knockoff of a third-party product. And if you can find the Daban Model versions of the Constructicons at that price point difference, I'd say pick them up. If you want to spend more to get the originals and you can find them, I'd say do that. Do what's going to make you happy. Both of them are good products. I think Generation Toy is a little bit of a better product, but you know, it carries the price tag as well. I want to thank you all again for making this channel a success, and thanks for watching. Thank you for continuing to watch. Thank you for subscribing. The channel has been up for about a year. We reached 100+ subscribers and 10,000 views. That's not a lot on some channels, I know, but I'm really excited about the progress and excited that you gals and guys are finding value in the videos I'm putting up. So if you have ideas for videos you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. We'll see if they fit the channel. If you're new to the channel or you're a frequent watcher but haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button so that you know when the next video drops. So as far as a recommendation for this version of hook, I give it 2 thumbs up. If you can find it, you know what you're getting into, go for it. All right, until next time, happy collecting, everybody.